So, Out of the Furnace, which is the new film by Scott Cooper, who made Crazy Heart. You remember that with Jeff Bridges, which
Yes,
won a couple of Oscars, including an Oscar for that song, "The Weary Kind." And
Ryan Bingham, I think it was.
Ryan Bingham and T-Bone Burnett.
Yes.
Between them.
T-Bone Burnett kind of knows what he's doing.
He does. T-Bone Burnett makes sure you get all the right notes in all the right order.
Exactly.
So the story is, it begins in 2008. It's set in this Rust Belt town. It's shot in Braddock, Pennsylvania. There are two brothers, one of them played by Christian Bale, one of them played by Casey Affleck, who, I was saying this thing that David Lowery, who was the director of Ain't Them Body Saints, said that Casey Affleck has a very 70s set of his features, which we'll get to in a little bit. So they're two brothers. There's no way out of the town, essentially. It's a steel mill town. The steel mill is in danger of closing down. The steel mill is basically kind of this sort of dying sun around which the town revolves. Casey Affleck's character has got out by going to war and serving several tours of Iraq. Christian Bale's character has stayed in the town, and he is involved in an accident which ends up with him doing some time. So both brothers have gone through traumatic experiences, one of them in war, one of them back at home. And they are both dealing in different ways with life, having come through these traumatic experiences. On the one hand, the Christian Bale character, Russell, decides that what he's going to do is try and move on and try and make his life work and look after his brother. His brother, however, has been so completely traumatized by his experiences in Iraq that he has got himself into the world of bare-knuckle fighting. And in the world of bare-knuckle fighting, there are no nastier bare-knuckle fighters than those looked after by Harlan de Groot, played by Woody Harrelson, as the person from Jersey, which is basically culturally as far away from the town as what you're in sort of deliverance territory. In this particular clip, we hear Casey Affleck announcing that what he wants to do is he wants to go and fight up there in the Jersey, despite the fact that Willem Dafoe says to him, "Believe me, you can do whatever you want, but you do not want to get into their fight." Here's a clip.
Was this boy daft?
No.
You been hit too many times?
Listen, we talked. Everything's good.
Hey, yeah. I like this one. He's tough. I'm angry.
Plenty tough. 4 tours in Iraq tough.
Now, why the hell you want to come up here and fight? Or, hell, anywhere. When you've been fighting over there for so long?
I just need the money, man.
Yeah. Well, we all need money.
So, on the plus side, it's a film made with sort of real care and love. It's shot entirely on 35mm. At the end of the credits, it actually says shot entirely and proudly on 35mm. And the whole film, despite the fact that it starts in 2008 and it's a modern setting, effectively, the whole film harks back to the 1970s. The director himself has said, obviously, his key influences are, unsurprisingly, Terrence Malick, Cassavetes, Robert Altman. But behind all of this is the spectre of Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter. In fact, there is even a hunting sequence in which, during the course of various stuff going on, Christian Bale's character goes out into the woods hunting, and lines up a shot, and we see the magnificent beast. And so it is quite clearly nodding its head towards that. And in fact, he said that he's very, very happy and proud of such comparisons because he feels that there is a kind of cinema that isn't being made anymore, and this is definitely from that tradition. So everything about it is harking back to that. The location stuff is extraordinary, whether it's the stuff in Braddock or whether it's the stuff out of the Carry furnace, which is this sort of desolate furnace now, which is where some of the climactic sequences happen, are really, really powerful. The downside of that is that it's very much a film which has got themes that you've seen done before. I mean, it's the story of two brothers. One of them goes to war, comes back, and is now so traumatized that he gets himself involved in a deadly sport. And again, obviously, if you're familiar with Deer Hunter, you know that story. Another one is men together dealing with manly issues. I mean, it is a macho film. It is a blue-collar film. And often, I think, it teeters along the edge of what could be sort of mockably macho. What completely prevents it from tipping over into that is the quality of the performances. Christian Bale is terrific. Christian Bale is a brilliant actor, as indeed is Casey Affleck. You have, even in the supporting characters, you have Sam Shepard playing a relatively secondary role, and Forrest Whitaker in a role which I suspect at some point there was more in that role. It looks like a role that has been cut back, but basically wherever you look, you're looking at an A-list cast. You're looking at an A-list cast being shot in this there's an earnestness about the drama. There's a very kind of well, worthy isn't the right word, but it's a very tactile, angsty film about, you know, male bonding and male angst and war and unemployment and the Rust Belt and desolation and all those things. And it's very, very clearly steeped in all these movies, as I said, from the 1970s. I mean, he cites to some extent Killing of a Chinese Bookie, but, you know, Deer Hunter is a big one. There's also Deliverance, as I mentioned before, is clearly looking at the background. The film opens in a drive-in cinema where they're showing Midnight Meat Train is up on the screen, but, you know, that's the only thing that tells you that we're in the 21st century, because everything else is harking right back to the 70s. There's also an absolutely beautiful score, which I think really sort of holds it together, even when, because the drama does become somewhat contrived. There is one howling plot contrivance point in which a key sequence, a key conversation is overheard on a mobile phone that happens to be open in the car at the same, which is one of those things you just think, why even do that? Because you don't need to do it. The film works best when it's doing the small details, the broken marriage that results from incarceration, the strange, you know, interplay between characters who are saying something but not quite saying something. The music by Dickon Hinchcliffe is absolutely brilliant. He was the founder member of one of the founder members of Tindersticks, and did the music for Winter's Bone, which I really loved. Now, Winter's Bone was great because the music was a very big part of that. In the case of Scott Cooper, obviously, so much of what's great about Crazy Heart is that he understands the music. And I thought that the Hinchcliffe's music for this was terrific. And in fact, after having seen the film, I did that thing about getting the soundtrack CD and just playing it over and over again, because I think the central themes are very haunting and lilting and work really well. So there's not much in a way of originality. It is held together by a musicality which papers over some of the gaps in the narrative. The performances are universally terrific, even when the plot itself sort of moves towards macho histrionics. And it is a film not unlike Ain't Them Body Saints, in which it has its feet so firmly in the ground of, you know, a brand of American cinema that has sort of gone in the same ways that, you know, they're in a Rust Belt town, the steel industry is closing down. There's a sort of sense of aching nostalgia that the earnestness of the cinema that it's referring back to has also gone. So I like it. He's a powerful director. He is a powerful director, although he entirely fueled by male angst, but a powerful director. And the soundtrack is the thing for me that really, really made it sort of, you know, hit the bell.